This episode is brought to you by Lydia Rachel Photography. Welcome back to the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. My name is Lydia. I'm a wedding photographer at Lydia Rachel Photography and your host. This week I'm joined by Laura Mohi Ryan. We're chatting all about her wedding planning journey and the somewhat untraditional path she and her husband Liam took to actually getting married. You may recognize Laura from online, or you might have seen her wedding recently featured in Together Journal. Laura is the founder of Wild Pilates, an online membership platform with over 500 Pilates classes. And she didn't ask me to say this, but such an incredible resource for brides who want to feel strong, confident, and good in their bodies in a healthy, sustainable way. You can do the classes from home and it's all on demand. Such an amazing thing that she's created with her husband working alongside her too. After 14 years together and an engagement that started with the most gorgeous proposal in Italy, Laura and Liam realized a big traditional wedding just wasn't really calling to them. So instead they eloped in Indonesia on Sumba Island. Just the two of them, surrounded by nature, doing it in a way that felt simple, intentional, and very them. In this episode, we talk about how they made those decisions, how they handled not telling anyone beforehand, what the day actually looked like, and the really practical things Laura learned along the way, like writing down your priorities separately, setting a budget even if you're eloping, and giving yourself permission to skip anything that doesn't feel like you. I feel like I've had so many conversations with people in the middle of their wedding planning saying, oh, we should have just eloped. But Laura and Liam actually did it, so you're going to get a lot out of this episode if you've ever considered it. Quick little side note before we get into it. If you've been loving the podcast and you want a bit more wedding inspo and advice in between episodes, I've also got a newsletter called The Love Letter by Lydia Rachel. It's a fortnightly note from me with wedding inspiration, podcast highlights, real weddings I'm capturing, and a few things I've been loving lately. I'll pop the link in the show notes so you can jump on the list. All right, enjoy episode 129 with Laura. Hi, Laura. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast. So excited to chat to you all about your wedding planning journey.
Yes, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me.
You did something a little bit different, I guess, which we're going to get into. But to get started with, if you could just tell us a bit of the story of how you guys met and, your lives together.
Well, actually, this is quite nice to talk about because, I didn't talk about it at all in the lead up to the wedding, which we'll get into. But, I'm Laura Mohi Ryan now. And Liam and I have been together for about 14 years now. So are we a decent stint? So we met 14 years ago. Liam was a professional snowboarder and I was just finishing up uni. And then a few years later, we were in Auckland at the same time, and that's when we started dating. And then, he was doing we did long distance for a few years because he was still snowboarding, and I was about 21, so that kind of suited me. It was all very chill until we moved back to Auckland full time, and then now we run Wild Pilates together, and they're kind of together every day, which is cool. I actually love it. Everyone's always like, how do you work with your partner or your husband? But it's actually really cool. We just kind of get to go on trips together, and we try to go away for a few months of the year, and we're always in our time off trying to get to the beach. Liam's a big surfer, snowboarder, so any time in nature is kind of what we're doing whenever we've got time off.
So good. Living the dream. Love that.
Trying to.
Yeah. Amazing. So you're together quite a while and then got engaged. Can you tell us a bit about the proposal story?
Yes. So now we must have got engaged about 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago. We went on a big 4-month Europe trip because Liam's brother was getting married in the UK. And then we'd both moved on to Wild Pilates by that stage. So we're like, okay, we can go and do some big filming trips. We did 4 months in Europe. And then when we were in Puglia in Italy, Liam proposed there, which was, obviously we talked about getting married and we'd been together for 14 years, but he's not like a big present giver. So I was actually super shocked, like birthdays and Christmases, I'm always like, so any presents from you? Like, he doesn't usually go out of his way to organize anything. So when he proposed, he had planned this ring that he made. His friend's a jeweler, and he'd like chosen the emerald and designed it all up with him. So that must have taken a couple of months. So I kind of thought it might be like, let's get married, and then we'll come back and organize the ring and stuff. So I was actually super shocked and super surprised by that. So we obviously put a whole bunch of effort into it, and it was like in this cute little cave in Puglia, and we had like a 5-course meal and lots of red wine. And so yeah, it was kind of perfect actually. And then we still had another month on the trip. So yeah, that was 3 years ago now.
Crazy. Oh, that's
I
so
know.
sweet. I remember seeing photos and videos from that trip. I think you going to all these incredible places. So yeah, it just
Yeah, we're
makes
so
it
lucky.
extra memorable.
It
Yeah.
was, yeah. He actually had planned to propose it right at the end of the trip, but he had the ring like in his little his little
Burning a
travel
hole in
bag,
his
and
pocket. Yeah.
he said he had it like he was taking it to the beach and everything because he was too
Oh,
scared to leave it
wow.
in the Airbnbs. But so he ended up pushing that forward like a month into the trip. He's like, "You can deal with the ring now." So
Yeah.
um, so then I had to look after it for the next 3 months. But no, it was actually perfect in Italy, and he's actually like things just seemed to work out for Liam. I was like, "How long did you plan this like cave proposal?" He's like, "Oh, actually, we just turned up 2 days ago and we went to this place for a drink, and I called them and someone had just pulled out, so I just booked it." So that actually worked out really well for him, which was really cool.
Oh, so good. Love that story. Had you been one of those girls that dreamed about your wedding? Did you have kind of an idea in mind, or yeah, think about a few different ideas before landing on what you did? What was your sort of starting point for planning your
Yeah.
wedding?
Kind of not at all. Like I had never like thought about what I'd wanted. I'd kind of had like a rough idea of like maybe what I might like for a dress, but like I'd never thought about. I don't love planning big events, to be honest, and like I don't love being like super center of attention. Like I was quite worried about it, to be honest, like doing a big wedding. So we were kind of starting from scratch. Like everything was on the table. Like, do we elope? Do we go big wedding? Do we go immediate family wedding and like best friends? So yeah, I definitely didn't have a whole bunch of kind of planning behind me with we wanted to start, but it was quite cool because then we kind of had the whole process together. You know, from the start, we're like, these are the options. What are you thinking? So yeah, we kind of started at baseline, really.
So did you kind of like considering those different options, did you look at any venues or yeah, were you kind of like looking overseas from the get-go?
So how it happened is we were kind of on our like dream trip at the time. So, and we'd kind of like saved up for it for years. So we got engaged, and then we started to have a look, and we're like, wait, this is, as you know, a lot of admin. Let's not do this while we're on this dream trip that we just paid for. Like we still had like Greece, Turkey, so many cool spots to go to. So we're like, let's just hold off. When we get home in like 4 months' time, then we'll start to look and decide what we want to do. So it was quite cool. We had a lot of time just to kind of like talk and chat and think about it over those few months. But yeah, I think maybe that's also why we stayed engaged for about 2.5 years, just because I think it probably, if you did really want to have a like a big wedding, it would be quite helpful to get onto it straight away. Whereas we kind of like left it, and then that kind of set the tone for like when we got back as well. We were like, we also have a business together, and you know, like we had lots of other stuff to plan for. So it kind of never, I would say, was like the absolute top priority for us, which was actually cool. You know, like we've got heaps of other stuff, and we decided it was important for us to do something to really like symbolize our relationship. But it just worked out in the end that we were happy to do something that felt a little bit more us. But yeah, we didn't get onto it straight away, and that I think maybe led to what we ended up doing.
You kind of touched on it a little bit there, but yeah, did you sort of sit down and have your top priorities or the most important elements of the whole wedding for you in mind?
I think it was when we kind of had, like I say, everything was on the table. Like we had three options. I'm from Hawke's Bay, so we're like, great, lots of options in Hawke's Bay. And Liam has done like 12 seasons in Wanaka, so we're like, that could be a great option. But we also like we're quite like a little two-person team. Like I say, we like go on big trips together. We work together every day. Like we hang out all weekend. So like something like an elopement was actually on the cards as well. Definitely wasn't the plan from the start, but I think when we had all of those options on the table, we were kind of like, okay, why don't we write down what's actually important to us? I actually found that list a few days ago, and it was kind of like, I think I had like 7 out of the 8 that were on my list with what we did do. So it was quite cool to see like what was important to Liam and then what was important to me. And it was actually quite interesting because when we first did that, the kind of like Liam's like so chill, but then his list was massive. Like he actually did have quite a few points that he wanted to hit. Even when you think like, oh, I don't mind, I'm pretty chill. It's actually sometimes quite good to do it separately and be like, kind of like, where are we starting from? Yeah, so that was actually quite interesting. And then that also changed after 2.5 years. There's a few things were like, actually now that, you know, we've got a house together, we've got a business, you know, our goals have changed a little bit. So a few things kind of dropped off. So yeah, also quite important to update that if you have been engaged a couple of years, I think.
Yeah, definitely. What were a few of the things on the list, if you're happy to share, that ended up
Yeah.
kind of coming to
Well, for
fruition?
me, I was like, okay, I want to make sure we've got like some nice photos that like you're actually really stoked with, you know, the importance of that, that you can actually like have on the wall and just be like, you know, I really want to envision them like kind of being like in nature, like so it would just kind of go with the other artwork that we'd eventually have in our house, you know. So for me, it was like I really want to have some cool photography. Liam's really into photography and videos and loves film camera work. So he was like, yeah, I really want to get some good photography. I wanted to be just, I didn't really want to spend like crazy amounts in a dress, but I wanted to be really confident in the outfit that I chose. You know, it wasn't, I wanted to make sure I had enough time to kind of like, this suits my body shape. I'm going to be happy with that for 50 years, you know. So it was really like great dress, a very casual day, married somewhere in nature. Yeah, and then prioritize things that were going to last. Like we really focused on, like we both had like want to get a really nice ring that will last forever. Yeah, and then just more of an experience. So we're like somewhere that we're kind of like away in nature and we can just enjoy ourselves as well.
Beautiful, love that. Touching on the dress as well, how did you find that whole journey? Did you kind of look at a few different places and yeah,
Well, yeah, so this might be a good time to kind of like maybe even talk about what I did do for the wedding, because it probably would have
yeah,
been quite different if I had done like a big wedding. So should I give a little rundown on what we did end up doing?
yeah, sure.
Yeah, so we decided like at this point we'd been engaged 2.5 years, and we were like, we definitely still really wanted to get married, but we weren't like loving the wedding planning process. Like we hadn't really got into it yet. Like we just kind of kept like dragging our feet, but we really wanted to go on like a cool trip. And then about 4 months out at the start of this year, we had a trip to Indonesia booked for 2 months. And then we're like, we really wanted to be married, but we weren't too, and we really wanted to do something special to kind of like symbolize that and get married and do a wedding, but we weren't too worried about the huge wedding. So we decided we are going to elope on this trip that we were doing in 4 months time, because then we knew it would like drag out and we'd be like, okay, let's do something next summer with family. And so we were like, okay, well, this one is only 4 months away, so that kind of so everything was kind of all on from there, but we didn't have to do too much. But swinging back in terms of a wedding dress, I then was like, okay, I've got 4 months. That's probably not enough time to like fly to Sydney and, you know, try on heaps of dresses and stuff. So I knew I always wanted a corset, like a two-piece, especially we were going to get married on the beach. It was like just the two of us, like a big gown wouldn't have really worked. So I was like, okay, I was looking around for some corsets, and then I randomly saw one on on Instagram, classic stalking on Instagram, and like the LVR bridal popped up and they're in Auckland. And I was like, okay, I can actually try it on. So I went and just booked an appointment that weekend, and I tried on the corset and it was like perfect, and it just came with a really simple silk skirt. So I was like, honestly, that'll do. It was the first dress I tried on. And then I like walked out and I texted Liam and I was like, I found it. And he's like, that's so you'll just like go try on one. And I'm like, but you know, I did my research first. I know I wanted a corset. And then yeah, that was kind of like the start of it. And then I kind of was like, is there any way you can actually make that in 4 months? And then they were really good and just kind of like pushed that through and got that done in 3 months.
Oh, so good. It was beautiful. Love the LVR girls and everything they do. And then I
Yeah.
know they did they custom make your veil as well?
Yeah.
They
So that
named
was
it
like,
after you in the
I know, that was
end.
so nice. I didn't realize until afterwards, like, this is the Laura veil. I was like, how cute. So yeah, they were really nice to work with, because like I just pretty much, I didn't really want to like, I didn't obviously have any bridesmaids or anything. So I didn't do these big kind of like try on dress. I just wanted to kind of like be really confident in the dress I had. So I went in one time, and then the really nice girl who was working there was like, do you want to try it with a veil? I'm like, no, that's stupid. Like there's two of us. Like I'm not going to wear a veil like when I'm eloping. And then I was like, okay, we'll try it on. And then I was like, oh, okay, this really makes it quite bridal.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I was like, when are you, like, obviously, when are you going to wear a veil again? But it kind of tied the whole thing together, because the look was actually very simple. It was just like yeah, corset and skirt. So then I tried on one, and then I was like, oh, I have to think about that. I think that's probably a bit much. And then I like kind of like stress tested a few like veil photos, like past Liam. I like showed him like 4 or 5 photos of people wearing veils. I'm like, oh, what do you think about this outfit? And I kind of was like, oh, it's a bit much maybe with the veil. And he's like, no, I love a veil. Then so that day I was like on the email, like, okay, let's lock in the veil. And it was honestly so easy. I was like, but I'm not too sure. I tried on a full lace one. Yeah, so they were like, come in again. So Jackie was like, come in again. I'd only been in once, and we'll try on a veil. And we tried on a really like thin, like chill veil. And then I was like, oh, I would love it with like a bit of lace. And then they were like, oh, we'll have a think about it. And then I just emailed them and was like, yeah, let's lock in the veil. And then she sent through a few lace options, and it was all just on email. And then, yeah, and then I didn't see it until I picked it up, and it was, yeah, it was perfect.
Oh, so good. Yeah, you looked absolutely stunning. All just came together beautifully. And
Oh,
yeah,
thank
I'm a
you.
big fan of veils, I think. Like you
I
say,
loved
when
it.
else are you going to wear them? That just kind of like makes you a bride. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So I think if you're like in the no veil camp, definitely try one on. And it's not going to be for everyone, but yeah, I was like, this actually could really jazz it up. And like, we were in like a remote island, so knew I had to do my own hair and makeup. So I was like, this could actually just make it like, really tied all together because it's like the hair is going to be simple. Yeah, so it actually was a nice little touch, I think.
Did so well with that as well. My next few questions are kind of about the bridal party and the guest list, which you
Yes.
kind of obviously didn't have. But
Yeah.
yeah, maybe if you want to talk us through that sort of decision making process, if you told your family and friends, if you had any pushback, or yeah, whatever you're happy to share there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that was like a big one. Because like I say, it wasn't like we were always going to elope. We had a big list on our computer of how much, who we would be inviting, and this was the list. And when we were thinking about looking at venues, and so then when we decided we were doing this on this trip, it was okay. Well, do we invite immediate family? And then it kind of was like, well, what is immediate family? And then we just knew that would get pushed out to like 40, and then we were going to have it somewhere like that we completely didn't want to have it. So we decided that we would just do it the two of us. Then you don't get caught up with, some people were invited, some weren't. And I would say probably that the hardest decision was like, okay, well then do we tell people beforehand, or do we at least tell like our parents and our siblings? And we decided not to. So like no one knew we were getting married apart from, organizing it with the venue and stuff, just because we thought we wanted to like, I'm quite affected by people's opinions. Like I totally would have been like, no, I feel too bad if someone had a bad reaction to it. And you don't know what, that's one thing everyone had said. Like, if this really suits you as a couple, it's not going to suit everyone, and your whole family might take a little while to get used to it, is what I had kind of read about a lot of elopements. And I was like, even if it was like a bad initial reaction, that would kind of stay with me and Liam. So we kind of thought, let's just do it how we want to do it. And then we kind of had a plan to tell them afterwards. So yeah, so we didn't actually tell anyone. And then we told immediate family afterwards. So yeah, no bridal party and definitely no guests, but it was it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that you did that. So different as well, but incredible to just like, yeah, really not let any of those other voices in, which can be
Yeah.
such a hard thing for brides, and just
Oh,
people
I
just
totally
come
get it.
out of the
Yeah.
woodwork with their opinions when you're in that
It's like
season.
people are, yeah, there's probably like two things that people are like the most opinionated about, which is like weddings and like babies. But people just go
Yeah.
like all in on their opinions, which is what we'd kind of
It's
experienced.
quite like vulnerable seasons as well.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like stuff that you really, really want to keep just kind of moving forward with how you want to do it. So yeah, definitely a big decision. Like I'm not making light of that. Like that was a huge decision for us, and we definitely ummed and ahed for so long. And like even when I did the last dress fitting, I was like, oh, should I tell my sister and my mum? And then it was like, but then we wouldn't make sure it was fair for everyone. So if that was the case, I was like, well, then you need to tell your family. And then it's like I could say, we just kind of were like, let's just keep it how we want to do it, and then we'll tell them afterwards.
So good. I know one of my sisters eloped as well, and it was kind of during that COVID time, and it was just them on the beach, and we sort of knew, but it was like, I don't know, like sad that you're missing out, but then also it didn't feel that sad because no one was there. It was not like just one family member excluded.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you kind of need to go whole immediate family. And that's what we thought, and then you kind of, I almost think like best friends would feel really left out as well. It's like if your families were there, and sometimes you're even
Yeah.
closer to your best friends than you are your family. So,
Yeah.
but like I say, huge decision. And we were kind of, obviously then super nervous to tell everyone afterwards. So we kind of like dealt with the nerves of that, like about 5 days after we got married.
Yeah, can we talk about your day, maybe the sort of lead up to it, and then, yeah, how the whole day went, and any highlights or favorite moments?
Yeah, of course. So we had a week in Bali before we were going over to this smaller island where we were getting married. So we kind of got to Bali and we had like a week of just kind of getting into holiday mode, topping up the tan a little bit, making sure we didn't get sick. I was like, Liam, we're not eating anything crazy. Like, so we just had 1 week of, I was like, no surf accidents, please. So that all went well. And then from Bali, we flew to Sumba Island, which is about an hour flight. And it's actually a pretty big island, but quite remote. So we arrived there and we had 4 nights there. And it was kind of like this bucket list accommodation. I had it saved of like a dream kind of like Wild Pilates filming location one day. And then we were like, actually, if the dates are free, let's just get married here, because it was quite private as well. It was like 8 little villas, and then they all have a private pool at the front, right out on the water, and then you kind of have like some bushes and stuff, so it's all quite private. So we're like, we could get married right up in front of that pool. So we arrived, and we'd talked to the hotel and stuff beforehand, and they were like, we haven't done a wedding here before, but really keen to do that. Obviously it was just the two of us. They're like, well, we can't do flowers and everything like that, but that was like absolutely fine. We just wanted it to be simple. So we arrived, and we had like, when you book something online, you're like, either they've been really great with the photos and this is not going to be as nice, but it was one of the ones that you tune up and it's actually somehow better than you thought. So we were so lucky we arrived. We were like, felt so lucky that we tuned up and it was even bigger. Like the pool was bigger, everything was bigger. So we had 2 nights and a full day just to relax and kind of figure out where we're going to take photos and stuff before the wedding. And so they had the wedding on like the second day, so we had a full day, and then we wanted a bit of time afterwards. So yeah, the first day we just arrived, and they drove us around on little scooters to be like, you could get some photos here and you could get some photos here. And one of them was like a 30-minute like real hectic scooter ride to another beach, and I was like, let's not do that in a dress. So it was quite good to do that the day before. Yeah, so then on the actual day, it was probably my favorite part was almost like the morning routine, because like I say, we're like such a little team that it actually would have been weird for me to like not spend the night with Liam before and not spend the morning with him. So we kind of like got up as normal. We went for a walk on the beach, and then we had a coffee, and then we both went for like an ocean swim. We did a little bit of Pilates and just like hung out, which was really, really cool. And I know lucky, because normally you'd have to be doing a lot of organizing on the morning, but we didn't have to do that. So we just kind of had like the best morning ever, all of our favorite things that we wanted to do. And then Liam didn't know what I was wearing, and I had seen his outfit, but I hadn't seen it on him. So we kind of like hung out and got ready together. But then when we got to kind of get changed, he went in the front room with the photographer, and I went into the bathroom and just got ready there. So that was quite cool. So we did that separately, and then he did some photos, and then then we still tried to make it like a full wedding day, like a full service and stuff. So yeah, then the accommodation was like so nice, and we look out the window and there's like 10 people setting up this full archway to get married. And then they'd also organize like a special dinner, which they called it special dinner, and it was like right at front of the pool with like all the Sumba, like Indonesian decorations. So yeah, so that was really cool. And so yeah, I walked down the aisle, and then we had written our own vows, which was probably another highlight. We're like, a few things that we wanted to really make it special, and like not just feel like a photo shoot, like we were like, this still needs to feel like something special. And like it really did. Like I was a little bit worried with no one there, it might be like, oh, what do we do now? But it felt like I was like fully nervous. Like I totally wouldn't have I wouldn't have wanted any other stress, to be honest. I was like, this is enough. I was like, like it was quite intense. So just because you're saying like the most intense things to your favorite person, it does actually just kind of get quite serious in the best way. So so we still did the vows, we still did the walk down the aisle, and then afterwards we had like the coolest photographer and videographer, and they like flew over from Bali. So that was quite nice to just have like some locals there, and they just like tuned up on their scooter that morning, like with all their gear on their backpack. It was like such a cool like touch, and they were like our age and just like the nicest people ever. And so we did some photos with them for like an hour and a half, and then we just kind of like scooted. We've got these really cool photos of us like scooting around the property, just like a wedding dress and like veil like tucked under my arm, which was really cool. And then after that, they had organized like a really cool big Indonesian like 4-course meal for us, and we had that like on the sand. Oh, actually, one other thing is it's quite like symbolic in Sumba to have buffaloes come past when you're getting married, because it's like very part of their culture when you get married. So they had a herd of buffaloes come past at like 5 o'clock when the sun was setting, and they were actually massive. Like the farmer was like, come and like touch them, and we were like, we've got these photos, and we're like genuinely looking like shit scared walking through the middle of them, like I don't know.
Incredible though, so unique.
Yeah, so such a nice touch. And I was like to Liam, is this like the equivalent of like posing in front of like a herd of cows? Like it just like felt so funny, but like it was so nice to like kind of do something that was like symbolic of the the country that we were getting married in. Yeah, so that was kind of the whole day, and then we just like woke up and had the most like chill, relaxed day the next day.
Oh, so good. Sounds like such a dream, and so special being just the two of you, and then a few people capturing it all. And a few things I want to touch on. You did your own hair and makeup. Did you do a lot of prep for that? Did you practice a few times? I
was a bit nervous about this, obviously, because it's like that's what you just presume you're going to get your hair and makeup. Like I envisioned like the nice big curls, but I also loved like a slick back bun. Like it's quite
Yeah,
like
it so
a
suits you.
yeah, thank you
Yeah.
very much. It was only, I mean, I actually didn't have a choice because I have no skills to do anything. I don't know how to curl my hair. I don't know how to do anything with my hair. But I've kind of been rocking the slick back bun for work because I need to have my hair
Probably
tied back.
suits the climate as well. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, my hair would have been like a frizz ball. So like, honestly, to be honest, I was probably going to do a slick back bun anyway. So thankfully that was easy, but I did like subtly ask my hairdresser if she had any tips for like products, and like I got a really great like hair treatment. So I literally just like swim in the ocean, have my hair wet, put this treatment in, and then the trick is like having like it's called like a boar bristle brush. It's like a really really thick brush, and then I just had that, and thankfully, if you know with slick buns, it either like works or it doesn't work. So thankfully it was like a good slick back bun day, and it just went like straight back up, which was good. But the makeup obviously I was far more nervous for. So I kind of left it to the last minute, but one of my really good friends is who used to be a client of Wild Pilates is well, actually you've had her on a podcast, haven't you? She's one of the best
Yeah,
makeup
she's
artists, Kate
amazing.
Soley.
Yeah.
So she's like does so many weddings. Like she would have been like my dream makeup artist if I was getting married here. So then I sent her an email and I was like, I just pretended I needed to get my makeup done for Wild Pilates. So I was like, oh, can I come and I want to just kind of get some new products and stuff from you. So can we do a one-on-one lesson? And I ended up just time-wise, it was only 2 weeks before I left. And we went through like a whole session, and then I went and I actually was like, actually, I'm getting married because, so what should I do? Because I know it's different for photos, like very different to your everyday. And I didn't want to be like on the beach looking like I was like just sweating and wearing like tinted moisturizer, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, if you have to do your own hair and makeup, well, even if you don't even have to do your hair and makeup, I learned so much from this lesson. So I went and just did
She's
like
incredible.
oh my
Yeah.
God, right? Like, so now I like have my little stuff I do every day. Like I went for, it was like an hour. And to be honest, the main thing we went through was like, these are the products that you're going to need to buy. So the makeup will actually stay on. And she did like a really simple look for me to the point where I was even like, oh, this isn't too bad. I can do this. And she's like, you do realize I've made this like so simple so you can actually do it. Like this is
Yeah.
like a quarter of the steps I would normally do, which was so nice of her. And like, yeah, so it was all just like, I just want like dewy skin because I knew it was going to be super humid. I wanted to be super bronzy. Yeah, so highly recommend. I learned everything, and then I made sure we had like one date night in Bali before we went over, so I did like the full look, tried to kind of figure it out. And I had taken a few like videos, and I was literally like playing them back, and it was like Kate's voice in the back, like, okay, so make sure you brush it up over the arch of the eyebrow. And I'm like listening and practicing. So yeah, that was actually quite cool. And it was actually like almost one of my like favorite parts of the day was just getting ready and like doing my own makeup. And like Liam was like in and out, and I was like chatting to him. But I totally needed to do that lesson and just learn how much makeup I actually needed to put on to kind of, like I say, look good in photos.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I was actually super chuffed because I mean I only did like one lesson, and thankfully it worked out okay.
Yeah, I think you totally nailed that. You looked amazing. So good that you had that lesson, and then yeah, it all turned out so good.
Thank you.
Another thing I want to ask, so you had like a celebrant there. Could you like officially get married there, or did you kind of have to do the paperwork separately? What did that look like?
Yeah, so I mean lots of people have asked this, which is like
Yeah.
thankfully like Sumba is they're mostly Christian, so like the ceremony sounded like what we would be used to. That we did the vows, we did all that, so that was quite nice to kind of like know what was going on. And then what you can do is you can put your paperwork in Bali, and it's all kind of like done through Bali. But it was we decided what we're going to do is we're just going to do everything there, sign everything there. But then when we come back, we also just did it in New Zealand as well. So we just went in and signed the paperwork when we got back as well. And that also just took like another massive stress out of it. We were like, let's just do it when we're home, but we'll just kind of, pretend that didn't happen. And like the wedding anniversary and stuff and everything is when we got married in Sumba. But yeah, we did the paperwork separately.
Yeah, nice. Oh, so good. Quick pause to share a little about what I do, because as most of you know, alongside hosting this podcast, I'm also a wedding photographer at Lydia Rachel Photography. I'm all about weddings that feel intentional, effortless, and full of emotion, creating images that are beautiful, honest, and take you right back to how it all felt. I'm there to photograph everything with care, the energy, the emotion, the beauty of it all in a way that feels true to you. My couples often tell me they feel completely looked after from our first chat through to the final gallery. If that sounds like how you want to feel on your wedding day, I'd love to chat. And right now, if you book before the end of summer 2026 and mention the podcast when you inquire, you'll receive an extra hour of photography coverage complimentary with whatever collection you choose. You can see more of my work at lydiarachel.com or email me directly, lydia@lydiarachel.com, to chat pricing and availability. Thanks for letting me share a little more about my work. Now back to the episode. Yeah, it sounds like such an incredible day. And then you kind of chilled to yourselves a few days, and then did you kind of have that day that you were going to call everyone, or
Yes, yeah.
what did that look like?
So we decided that we were, like I say, we were only at this accommodation, like our Dream Acon, for like 4 nights, 5 days. So we're like, let's wait till we're not here, just so we can kind of like be all settled and make the most of like every minute at this accommodation. So we, like, the next day after the wedding, we just kind of like swam, and it was probably the funnest day, to be honest. It was like so relaxed, and like I'm on my phone quite a lot for work, like messaging online clients, so we just like weren't online at all for those 4 or 5 days, and that was really nice because we just know as soon as you start telling people it's so exciting, but you're forward and back just messaging nonstop, you know. So we waited until we flew back to Bali, and then we didn't have much planned for a few days, and then we'd asked our wedding photographer if we could just have like 3 or 4 images, and then we were going to wait and just until, you know, however long he took to get those to us. And he was like so nice and like so kind and sent them within like 4 days. Like when we got back to Bali, he'd already sent us like 5, which was so nice of him. And also it was really nice, like that would be a bit of advice if you were telling friends and family. It was really nice to have like a few photos. So then as soon as we told them, it was like, it was a whole thing, you know, like it wasn't like a super rush. So we just did something random, like they kind of got a general idea of the vibe of it, like as soon as we were telling them. So yeah, we got back to Bali, and then we called, like we were definitely nervous to call mostly the parents, to be honest. Like we knew our siblings would be totally fine, and like all of our friends. So yeah, we called my family, and then you know, like showed them the photos, and then then we called Liam's family, and actually Liam he's like, I'm going to do it differently, and I'm going to send them the photos first, so they have like 5 minutes just to look at them and just kind of like, you know how you know your parents and stuff more. So he's like, I think that'd be better for them, like they can have a look at them, and just like, and then they called straight away and were like really excited for us, and everyone was all really nice, which was great. So then we called our siblings, and then a few like really close friends, and then it was quite a fun few days just like messaging good friends for about a week and just sending them the photos and like talking through the wedding and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of how we did it. And I think, yeah, having like, we wanted to do it, so thankfully we only did it a few days afterwards, because we thought it'd be weird if you're just kind of like chatting to your family about the trip, but actually you got married within that time, you know, like, so like
Yeah.
I don't really want to talk to anyone until we can tell them, because we'd just feel bad. But the photos was a really nice touch, I think.
So special, and nice responses all round.
Yeah, like I mean, we were quite nervous because like even like you actually don't know how it's going to be taken, and even
Yeah.
from like friends and just like the general people, you know, like your community, we were and it's been taken like really well. Like we kind of were even like, okay, we're happy with this, you know. And someone had said, I'd been reading a few blogs and stuff about eloping, and they're like, don't expect everyone to be maybe super excited straight away. Like we had 4 months to get our head around it, so that's why we decided to wait. And yeah, I think like a few people were like a little bit more just like quite shocked, and then like it took them a little while. Like no one was unhappy or like upset about anything, which was really nice. So but yeah, sometimes it was like the excitement took a little bit of a few weeks for a few people, which was kind of like fair enough. Like it's totally suited us. But you know, ideally our parents would have preferred to be there. But I think also they were just like chuffed we were married at this point, and that we'd like done something nice that we were stoked about.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then in terms of like when we were like a few weeks later told, you know, just kind of like put it up online so wider friends and stuff could find out, everyone was like, that kind of was like even a nicer response than I was imagining, to be honest. So yeah, so that's been really nice.
What did you find the hardest part about the whole wedding planning process? Is there anything you look back on and regret or would have done a little differently?
I think with the elopement, we actually were really happy with everything we did do, but I probably would have got onto it, like I say, a little bit earlier. It was like I didn't love the planning process. I found like it was like as soon as you started to like look into everything, it was like this, like, as you know, it's almost this like extra admin or extra price as soon as you say wedding around everything, which I like didn't really love, you know. Like it was kind of like I had looked into doing like a dress fitting with someone, and then they messaged back asking like who I was only allowed to come if I'd been to 3 other wedding shops, and then even that I was like, okay, I don't want to come anymore. Like that was just so weird to me. So yeah, so maybe that was like a bad experience. Like it didn't end up going to that, and then thankfully had a great experience with our VR. But yeah, we just kind of weren't super interested in planning for a year. Like to be honest, we just didn't want to like talk about it for a year. Like we've got like a business, we've got heaps of other stuff we had going on. So I really enjoyed the elopement because it was like a few emails here, some research and stuff that we were really interested in, like dress, outfits, and like going on a trip. But then we just kind of didn't worry about anything we weren't interested in. Like there was no flowers. I didn't do any new jewelry, or like didn't do any like crazy things that you think you need to do before a wedding, and like get heaps of like, like eyebrows done or anything, like if you don't normally do that, so it was actually pretty chill, and that's kind of how we wanted to do it. One thing I probably would do differently, if you are eloping, is I probably would have had like a bit more of an idea about what we would do for like friends and family when we got home. Like had kind of like on this date we're planning to do like a lunch, or we're planning to do a drinks. That would have been like quite a nice touch to kind of like when we were able to tell them about it, because now we're like 3 months in and we're only kind of just scrambling to do something now, and then it's like ending up just going to be immediate family. But it would have been quite nice to maybe have had that organized a bit earlier.
So refreshing for people to hear. I think there's there's so much out there about what a wedding should look like in planning one, and all these expectations and stuff, but you can just do exactly what you want, like you guys did, and factor it into a trip, or keep it to just the two of you if you do want.
We decided, we kind of felt like this was like the only option to us. This is how we knew this was the right choice for us, because we were like looking at it at the start of the year, and this was the only option that like both of us were really excited about. And we're like, okay, that's probably a great sign. Like this is what we want to do. And like I say, it was like, it did just suit us. So we were aware that might not go well with everyone else, but like, we were like, this is exciting to us. We're just going to go like all in on this. And it's not, we only had to think about it for like 3 months, and we didn't even have to do a lot of planning. So that kind of like totally suited our personalities really well.
So good. And I think it is so hard for people to kind of block out all those outside influences, whether that's from social media or your family or whatever, and then just really sit down and be like, what do we actually want? What represents us as a couple? What suits us? So important to do. I love that you did that.
Thank you.
I guess you kind of like did it amongst a trip you already had planned. So I wondered, did you have kind of a set wedding budget? If you're happy to talk about that, I mean, I guess it's kind of like amongst the travel trip budget. That's too, the thing, probably, but
we didn't actually have like, well, I think one thing I will say about that is I think it really is important to like have a budget even if you are eloping, because it can like, it's like anything, before you know it, like another thing that was exciting for us was not spending crazy amounts of money. They may be different if we were in like a different stage of life, where like I'm 35, like Liam's 39. Like I say, we've got like a business here, we've got a house together, we've got kind of just in the stage where we're kind of just setting up our life a little bit more, and like all of that requires quite a lot of money, as you know. So
priorities,
right. So that kind of like, that's the priority for us, was like, cool, then we're coming back and actually wanting to enjoy our life, and we really wanted to go on some more trips together and stuff. So we kind of were like, okay, where would we want to spend the money? And for us, that was a trip that felt like honeymoon, dream location that we wanted to go. So like bucket list, ACOM, honeymoon, and also a wedding. So we decided we'd put our money into that. So we had to not put money into a whole lot of other areas. But I could see how even if you're eloping, you could all of a sudden be like putting money into small little extra things, and like, oh, we have to, it's a wedding. And then the budget could almost get blown out, that then you're paying for pretty much a small wedding anyway. So without going into it too much, I would say that if you're eloping, still have a very strict budget and only prioritize the things that you want. So we were like, we're only going to prioritize things that are going to last. So we were like, accommodation, that's a whole experience for us. And then rings, and like a photographer coming over from Bali, which is also very super reasonable, which we were really lucky with, was important to us.
Love that. And so did you kind of like count that as your honeymoon as well? Did you, you planning anything else? You were already in such a dream spot.
I was like, we were very lucky. Like we had a 2-month trip. 1 month was fully working. Like I filmed every single morning in 1 month of the trip. So the first month we had like a week off, and then we got married at that bucket list spot, and then we worked for a month, and then we kind of like felt like the trip was a honeymoon. But we also decided to book, like there was another spot when we went to Lombok for 3 weeks. It was like our another bucket list spot that we had in kind of like our top 5 places to stay. So we just booked 2 nights there at the end of our Lombok trip, and we're like, this is our little honeymoon like weekend at the end of that. So we did something extra on that same trip though, but the whole thing kind of felt like it was really nice to be on a trip, to be honest. When you get married, not like back to work on Monday, like we felt really lucky about that. But the honeymoon location was actually really cool as well.
Oh, so good. Yeah, so nice to tie it all in. And then even though it was like part work trip, but having those little breaks, and then ticking off some big bucket lists.
We were
spots.
quite yeah, we're like, we need to make sure we have like these 2 weeks are like non-working, and then we'll like work in this block here, and then we'll have a week off. So we tried to be really good about it. So we were just like half working. And like I say, we definitely didn't do any work when we were over in Sumba the whole time, which was really nice.
So good. Did you have any kind of helpful resources? You kind of touched on doing a bit of research. Yeah, was there anything you can think of? Was it like Instagram, or yeah, what was kind of
Yeah, for
helpful?
me, I really enjoyed like just listening like to the taste that I already have. You know, like I didn't, when I did my makeup, I was like, what suits my face and my coloring? I wasn't like, I want this reference point for a wedding, you know? So I kept like, makeup was just like elevated what I'd normally have on the day. Yeah. And we didn't do I don't usually wear a whole bunch of jewelry. So it was kind of like sticking in line with what we would normally. Yeah, I think you can get a bit research a little bit too much sometimes, and kind of, you know, almost next thing you're like, don't even look like yourself.
Overwhelming.
So for sure. So I did do a lot of research on Instagram, just like had a little saved folder. I found that was the easiest. Like when I saw stuff, it was either, to be honest, usually just dresses, or if I saw like really cool, like little photo ideas that I liked, I would save in a little folder and I kind of reference those a bit closer to the time. So I really liked pages like the Anti Bride, which were quite like, you know, like non-traditional wedding
Yeah.
pages. And I really liked looking through the Together journal. You know, that's the way I've always looked at those for years. I used to have those in the studio. So yeah, I always would flick through those and kind of also look at their Instagram as well, which is great.
So good, such good ones. Do you have any advice that you would say to a couple planning their wedding at the moment?
Yeah, for us, I think we like knew it was the right move when we were both, like I say, we were both excited about this idea. So I think, yeah, kind of listening to your gut and just like having that time to like either, like I said earlier in the podcast, writing down what's and do that separately. So it doesn't, you're not just having one of you copying the other. What is important to both of you, ideally. And in an ideal world, you know, I would have had like my family there as well. So, but it was kind of like the us having an experience that we really wanted it, having it something different was as important. So we decided to go that route, but we were able to reference those kind of points, and then also just kind of be like, hold on, this kind of almost covers all of our points on both sides, and we're really excited about it. So I think, yeah, just actually stopping and having some time to think about if you're excited about it or not is huge, because it's a lot of money, and it's a, yeah, very special occasion that we wanted to look back on and just kind of be like, man, that was a cool trip, you know, and just like always have something to look back on. Yeah, I would probably, if I was eloping again, I really, sorry, mum and dad, but I really enjoyed not telling anyone. I have,
Mm.
it's almost like I've got like this sort of like a little elopement group now that keep messaging me. People are like, I eloped too. And it's like, then as people are like sharing their stories, which is like really, really cool. Like people I don't know. And yeah, a few people have had quite bad, I do, it depends on every single family, right? But yeah, it's a lot of extra pressure if you're telling a lot of people beforehand, and then you're, depends on your personality, you're going to take on a lot more insights. So that worked really well for us, not telling anyone, but then making sure we had some photos to share afterwards. So I would suggest that. And also, I also had, like I say, a small like little gallery of photos that I really liked, and I kind of had a look at those the night before and was like, oh yeah, that's a cool idea. And then that was quite helpful if you're not really confident in front of the camera, just having like a rough idea of like the look of stuff that you like, you know. And then yeah, that's pretty much it, really. It's like not buying into the stuff that you think you need, you know. Like I was like, okay, I should probably do like all of this jewelry, I should probably do all of these appointments, and I'm like, well, I don't normally do that anyway. So you want to look like yourself, and if you are doing anything, trial it, you know. Like if you're doing a tan, if you're doing a makeup, like trial it even as much as you possibly, more than you think you need to. And I probably would have planned a little something like a little after party or a, you know, family dinner, probably like before we left, so we could come back and have that ready to go. That would be one tip I'd have. Just something a little bit, so your family feels like they've got something to look forward to as well.
So much good advice in there. Yeah, it's unfortunate you can't control how anyone's going to react, and nice that overall it was like good for you. But yeah, you hear those stories about some people's family being difficult, and I guess it's just like preparing yourself for whatever that is going to be, and then it's, you know, not up to you to,
Yeah,
it's like your choice in the end, like stick to your guns. But
yeah. I
yeah.
think when people see how happy you are about it, I think like really important just to kind of like not feel bad about how happy you are
Yeah.
with like being married. Like Liam and I just like really wanted to be married, so that was the priority, and we wanted to do something special to symbolize that. But we didn't want to plan a wedding for a year, and we didn't want to even like talk about it for a year, to be honest. Like this
Yeah.
is like enough for me, to be honest. And it was like great. So I think yeah, don't be afraid to kind of like be really happy about it, even though other people couldn't be there. And don't get me wrong, there's been a little, you know, a little bit of like forward and back with a few people, but I think what really helped me is like I was very aware that it wasn't the perfect plan for everyone else. It was just the perfect plan for us. So it might take people a little while to get their head around it, and realize what they missed out on. But as long as, we were happy in the end, that seems to have been the thing that's kind of made everyone happy in the end. But yeah, it's honestly, if there's ever a time to kind of focus on you as a couple, that's what we decided to do.
So good. Love that. Probably touched on it a little bit already, but what is married life like now? And do you feel like you got any of the post-wedding blues?
Yeah, married life is really good. To be honest, I was like, oh, it's going to be the same. Like, we've been together 14 years, like we work together every day. But it's actually been like quite nice just to kind of like really take the time to write out those vows to each other and like reflect on your relationship. So it actually has been like, we've been married 3 months now. Like, I'm really, really glad we did it. Like, I was almost like, do we bother? But it actually does kind of change something in your relationship. Like, we feel like we've just, it's like another level to the relationship. So we're actually like really happy. And I am actually really glad that we did do that. So it's it's been really cool.
Oh, so good. No blues then. I guess you were just on this like honeymoon high amazing trip. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That we came back like the 1st of July, which wasn't great, to be honest, swinging back into winter.
Yeah.
But so like we've been a bit
Holiday
gutted about the
blues.
trip. Yeah. But I think we're also just like so aware that we were so lucky to have 2 months together. Like, that's not usual for a lot of people. We are lucky because we work for ourselves and we work together. So I think, those 2 months away are going to get us through. I am really glad we booked a few nights for our honeymoon as well, because the wedding just goes so fast. So I feel more grateful than blues. You know what I mean? Like, I wish we
Yeah.
were still there, but I mean, it was such a great trip that like that's going to totally get me through.
Love that. And I didn't tell you I was going to ask this, I don't think, but I wanted to ask you to tell us a little bit about Wild Pilates. I know so many brides listen, and a lot of them are kind of trying to, look and feel their best on their day in a healthy
Yeah.
way with, eating and exercise and everything. So I think it's such a cool option that anyone can do from everywhere with your membership. So I'd love you to just tell
Oh,
us a bit
thank
about
you.
it.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, and it's so true. Like, it's such a funny thing online. Sometimes people are like, oh, you don't need to get ready for a wedding, but like, everyone wants to feel good. Like, I just wanted to feel confident, like I wasn't wanting to do anything crazy. It was just like, I know I'll be gutted with myself if I'm not 100% confident, and like, the most important part, like, I think, like I say, now that you're 35, you're aware of like, everything just needs to be done in a healthy, sustainable way. Like, I'm not interested in doing something that's like a very short-term fix and it's going to mess with my hormones or anything crazy. So I just solely did Wild Pilates, which was like, it's our online platform, and we do so we've got like thousands of members, and we do online classes for Pilates. I used to have 2 studios in Auckland, and now I solely do this online studio, and the classes are like 20 to 30 minutes. So on the lead up to the wedding, 5 days a week, I would do a walk every morning, and then I would do a 30-minute Pilates class at home, just using a ball and some Pilates bands. So it was actually quite good because I got really into kind of like planning some new classes and stuff while I was doing. I only had about 2 or 3 months to kind of get ready, should I say, but like, it was actually the perfect amount, because it wasn't like stressing out for ages. It was like, let's just do Pilates every day, but level it up a little bit. So I kind of like pushed it a little bit more, just worked a little bit harder and did some more advanced Pilates. But then I planned a whole bunch of classes, and those are the classes that I filmed while we were away in Indonesia. And then when I called it the Sculpt series, and it's like the workouts that I did in the lead up to the wedding. And we've just finished that 3-week challenge now, and I've got like the best feedback from clients. So it was actually quite good for me to like be pushing myself for something big. I then planned the best classes, and everyone's been really loving those. So for me, felt my best when I was doing Pilates 5 times a week, and then pairing that with some walks. So not kind of getting the cortisol up really high, just like some really easy walks. And then I actually, which I found was really, really helpful on top of that, was going to see a nutritionist a few months out. So I saw some M. Wiley from Elo Wellbeing, and it was like just a really nice like check-in to kind of be like, I don't want to do anything stupid here, and like I say, mess with my hormones or put a lot of pressure on my body, but if I can kind of feel my best and confident, what would you suggest? So if you don't know where to start, or you're kind of like, I think a really big problem or easy mistake is pushing yourself too hard, and there's just no way to keep that up, or like I say, you're just kind of like, it's actually just horrible. I would go and see a nutritionist, and then, if you can mix up the type of exercise you're doing, that's amazing. For me, that is walking and Pilates. So I did actually, I had about 3 months where I really kind of focused on that, eating really well and really leveling out the Pilates. And for me, that was like the perfect timeline.
So good. Love that. It's been incredible to watch your journey with Wild Pilates over the years. And yeah, I just think it's such a cool resource for people. And yeah, your videos are always in these beautiful locations around the world. And yeah, really like easy to fit into whatever your day looks like, I think. So yeah, we'll link to everything so people can go check it out as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I honestly, I'm like more consistent now with mat Pilates than when I had like 15 reformers when I had the studios. But I was actually just laughing. I remember seeing you, Lydia, like a few months before the wedding at an
Yeah.
event, and
I
you were like,
know. I was
"So do you
giving
have
you all
any?"
the questions about your
Yeah,
wedding.
I had like I got a good speech by that point because I was just saying no
Yeah.
to everyone, you know. You're like, "Do you have any, like, how long have you been engaged?" I'm like, "Oh, like 2.5 years." And I remember you being like, "Do you have any wedding plans?" And I loved it, just like really loosely was like, "Yeah, kind of." And then like almost like felt so rude afterwards. You're probably like, "Okay," but
No, not at all.
I was like, "Let me say this," and I was like, "Then she'll see it in a few months," and then she'll be like, "Okay, that makes total sense."
So good. I know. I remember seeing your post pop up and I was like, oh, that conversation makes so much sense now. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so good.
And a lot of people have been like, that totally suits you guys. Like you guys go on trips all the time to film for Wild Pilates. So yeah, it actually did feel like it suited us. And everyone's been so nice saying like, "Oh, that's like you guys, such down to a T." So it actually, yeah, I'm really glad we listened to that because it's really funny afterwards. Everyone's like, "Oh, of course. Like, why wouldn't you do that?" And like, even the people who were giving us the most advice and the most pressure of being like, "You really need to do this," and then we did this, and they were like, "Oh, you totally should have done that. That totally suits you." So sometimes it's just like, honestly, if you do something that suits you, people are like, "Oh, of course
People
you should
get
do
on
that."
board eventually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they really have. So that is an experience I will say. If you like, people have totally got on board, and yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, no, I love that you kind of went against the grain a bit. And I think this episode will be so helpful for people to hear and just think about why they're doing everything and is it to impress whoever. And yeah, just thinking about how they might do it differently if they want to go down that route. So,
And even like, I know this won't suit everyone not doing it with family. Like I say, that was the biggest call for us. Like we've got a great relationship with our families. That wasn't why we did it. So I think even if you are wanting to do a wedding with your family, but just being aware of like other little things in the day that you might not need, or you might not need to spend money on, it was, yeah, really, really important, I think.
it's been so lovely chatting to you. Is there
You
anything
too.
else you wanted to add or that we missed as we wrap up?
No, I think we're actually, I mean, hopefully that's been helpful for a few people, but that's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's, I think that's the whole story, really. It's and like I say, thank you so much for asking me to be on this because I actually missed out on the whole like talking about it. You know, like I said, I didn't want to talk
Aw.
about it for a year, but it was also tough because I couldn't talk about it at all. So
Yeah,
it's been quite
so
nice to
good.
run through it.
Oh, so good. Thanks so much for coming on.
Of course, thank you so much.